Okay, perfect. So welcome all. My name is Sophia Hansen. I'm a junior analyst at Startup Campus, and I'm going to be your moderator today. So welcome to all of the attendees, our audience today, and especially to all of our speakers that will be presenting today on the topic of introducing the UK and the DACH healthcare ecosystems. So this webinar is part of our We4 global program, and it's organized in collaboration with 3 partners: Civitta Slovakia, Startup Hub Poland, and DEX Innovation Centre from the We4 region, and is funded by the V4 International Fund. So thank you for supporting this initiative. The whole program has 3 major parts: the Expert Readiness Programme, where 8 selected healthcare startups receive personal consultations to accelerate their growth into Western European markets, 13 webinar sessions, which we will have today, and a closing demo day where our 8 participating teams can pitch in front of international investors and hopefully score investment. So today we are here to listen to the introduction to the UK and DACH regions, in specific their healthcare ecosystems. In the past 4 weeks, we had webinars on the introduction to Hungary, Slovakia, Poland, and Czechia. But today we are moving more towards Western European markets, in specific the most dominant ones in Europe, the UK and the DACH, so Germany, Austria, and Switzerland healthcare markets. We have invited regional experts to talk about these ecosystems and tell us about why they're so dominant and what are the opportunities of these markets, in specific the challenges and how the future looks for healthcare in the UK and in the DACH region. So as you might know, London is actually one of the largest startup hubs in Europe and the second worldwide. And there are also lots of German cities that are in the top 10 of the most innovative startup hubs. So this is a very interesting region, especially during COVID-19 times. And we're interested in hearing what our mentors and experts have to say about all of these developments that are going on and will happen as well. So the agenda for today we'll start with the UK ecosystem. We will have an introduction to the UK ecosystem by Krisztina Gorog from the Department of International Trade, which will be followed by her colleague, Dr. Neil Ebenezer, who is a MedTech expert at DIT, and who will talk about an in-depth or more detailed about the healthcare scene. Then we will continue with the DACH region, but before that, we will have a short 10-minute break. The German market will be introduced by Harald Mylord, who is manager at Germany Trade and Invest, who will talk more specifically about e-health in Germany, which will be followed by an introduction to the Health Capital Program by Dr. Marc Hovestädt from Berlin and Partners. And the event will be closed by my colleague Zoltan and Galla from Startup Campus Germany about the best practices and business development in Germany. So just before we actually start today, a few housekeeping rules. We will try to keep the presentation short and concise. We do hope that you're all going to hear lots of interesting facts, and we will share the contact details with you. You will be able to see them at the end of the presentations, and please feel free to reach out to any of the speakers if you need some clarification or if you have follow-up questions. Questions can be asked at the Q&A function as we are in webinar mode, or you can type them into the chat and I will read them out loud to the speakers. The webinar is recorded and it's going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel and to our social media. So make sure to follow Startup Campus on Facebook or on YouTube, and you will be able to rewatch these webinars. And also check out the webinars of the past weeks. You can find them all on YouTube and on Facebook. So without further ado, let me introduce today's first speaker, Krisztina Gorog, who is the Senior Inward Investment Advisor at the Department of International Trade. Hello, Kriszti, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to be sharing your presentation, so let me just open it up for a second. Until that, sorry, where is it? Are you here with us, Kriszti? I think
yes, I am. Yes, okay. I am here.
Okay, I just thought that you were muted for a second.
I did mute myself for the first part.
Okay, great. Yeah, just a second. I'm just having some issues with sharing my screen, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah. you're unable to do that, right?
I do not have the slides with me on this one. I mean, on this computer, but something is happening. I can see.
Well, this is okay. Obviously, this is a bit awkward that it's not working out. Okay, I'm not going to be able to share the screen, unfortunately.
Can I just start saying a few words about myself?
Yeah, and I'm going to call my colleague. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Krisztina Gorog, and I'm a senior inboard investment advisor at the British Embassy in Budapest. My job is to assist those companies that are interested in establishing their presence in the UK market. And I have a regional role. Apart from my home market, Hungary, I also work with companies from Slovenia and Croatia. And I also have a close relationship with my colleagues in the CE network. So people, for example, in Poland, the Czech Republic or Slovakia, with whom I work closely together to support companies to successfully land in the UK market. Today, I will talk about the UK market in general and how our organization, the Department for International Trade, can support companies in the UK market. And then I will give the floor to my colleague, Ebenezer, who is our MedTech specialist based in the UK. And being the expert in the MedTech sector, Neil will be able to provide you with a detailed overview of the UK market. So I will just use my other screen where I can see actually my presentation. So I will refer to some general comments first, and hopefully Sophia will be able to upload the presentation during my slot. So why the UK? Why it makes sense to establish a presence in the UK market. So the UK market is the 5th largest economy in the world with a population of nearly 70 million people, which is a decent size of market, I guess, to test a product or service, but it's also ideal size to be a launchpad or a springboard for those companies who don't just want to grow, but they also want to go global in the longer run. The UK has a very favorable business environment, be it the ease of doing business or the efficient legal system. And it's also famous for its world-class innovation, which actually drives the whole UK economy. If you are after talented people, highly skilled workforce, the UK is a good place to find those people. 4 of the world's top 10 universities are located in the UK, actually. And apart from the talent, the attractive tax regime is also something that provides support to entrepreneurs to grow in the UK, be it the corporation tax, which is 19% at the moment, or other tax credits and incentives which are related to R&D activities or intellectual property. Okay, so it's a good place to be, but how to start, you can ask. Oops. The slides are changing. Okay, so how to start? Obviously, you've heard this before, that you need to know your market. You need to see if your product or service has potential in the given market. So you need to do a lot of homework to find that out. But the good news is that we are all there to help. And when I say we, it's the Department for International Trade, which is, oops, okay. My presentation has just arrived. Okay, so can we please go to the 4th slide? Yes, okay, thank you so much. So the Department for International Trade, which is actually a ministry, so we are government, but please don't think of us as an old-fashioned, traditional, bureaucratic organization, but rather as a dynamic, supportive, responsive bunch of people who are all there to help companies to succeed succeed in the UK market. We have a global presence. We have a global network. Our headquarters is based in London, but we have a national coverage all across the UK, meaning local DIT teams in all UK regions and the devolved administrations. We also have a partner network in the UK, meaning consultancy firms, accountancy firms, legal offices, or recruitment agencies who can provide specific support to companies if and when needed. And apart from them, we have our overseas network, people like myself, who sit usually in British embassies or British consulates and are the local point of contacts for companies overseas. So that's us. Can we go to the next slide, please? Right, so DIT works with companies, and we provide two major services to businesses in the UK market. First of all, we work with UK exporters, so UK registered companies who want to sell their products or services overseas. They can benefit from the local knowledge of the British embassy teams in a given market, be it market research, be it a potential partner list, or even a visit program for them. So that's the trade or export promotion service, as we call it. The other service is for foreign businesses, and we call it inward investment support, which is a tailored, free, and confidential service for those businesses that consider setting up and be operational in the UK. We work with companies of any size, so be it startups, scale-ups, innovative SMEs, or big corporates from any sector. And it doesn't matter if our clients have or doesn't have international experience. The good news is that those foreign companies that set up in the UK will also be eligible for our export promotion support. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. Great. So these are some of the services that we usually provide to clients, be it bespoke market research, advice in how to set up a company or register a UK bank account. We can also help with visas and immigration services. We can give tax advice, and we can also help with finding the right location for the business in the UK, because it doesn't necessarily have to be London. There are some other regions, there are some other bigger or smaller cities that are growing fast and provide lots of opportunities for newcomers. Next slide, please. So this is my last slide. How to start? Please get in touch with me. You can see my email address on this slide. If you're not from Hungary, I'm very happy to provide you with contact details to my colleagues in Poland, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia, who similarly to me will provide the same support along this journey. So thank you very much for having me, and I'm very conscious of time, so I'll just give the floor to my colleague Neil to talk about the UK MedTech sector in more detail. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Krisztina, for that good introduction to the works of the DIT, and it fits in very nicely with my presentation, which hopefully will be called up onto screen soon. But while we're waiting for the presentation to arrive, I'm going to talk to you today about the UK MedTech sector. Here we go. And if you can go to the next slide. And what this will cover will be a broad overview of the UK MedTech landscape. So I'll go through this quite quickly about why the UK is a good place to come and do business here, some of the opportunities, and a couple of case studies to show you companies that have been successful. And then largely it'll cover a little bit of what Krisztina has covered around how DIT can help you further. So the next slide. And this is really an overview of the UK life science cluster. So this is MedTech together with pharma. And as has been said, you know, the UK is one of the largest life science clusters in Europe, with a turnover of 74 billion, employing almost 250,000 people. And the UK has one of the largest biotech products under development in Europe across preclinical and clinical studies. So it's both pharma, biotechnology, MedTech. It's a real hub up and down the country. And so there's a lot more information here, but I'll gloss over that. Move to the next slide. When we're talking about MedTech, it's worth just pausing a bit to think about what do we mean. And it really encompasses three areas. So what the first is that of medical devices. And on the left-hand side, you can see a definition of a medical device, but basically it's any instrument, apparatus, appliance, software, implant that's really being used to benefit patients by helping to diagnose and treat patients. And so you can think about most things that you'll see in a doctor's surgery, a clinic, a hospital setting that's going to be used for patient care as part of a medical device package, if you like. Alongside that, we'll see diagnostics as being really key. So whether that's in vivo diagnostics, so within the body, so imaging technologies, ultrasound, X-rays, MRI scans, or in vitro diagnostics. And with the rise of COVID, lots of people now are very familiar with PCR tests and lateral flow tests and so forth. And then the last bit to talk around is the area around digital health and software. And we have software that's embedded in medical devices like a pacemaker, or it can be used to interpret an MRI scan, or it can be software on its own. So software is a medical device that's used as part of AI, machine learning, apps, and so forth. So you can see that MedTech covers a wide area and often very cutting edge technologies. The next slide, please. And so when we're looking at the UK, you can see that we have developed a real dedicated support infrastructure. And there's a lot of support for companies wanting to come into the UK across the entire product innovation pathway. And as well as supporting the UK, but also global evidence development. So if you come into the UK, you can develop your product further, innovate it, use it for a UK market, but also use it to explore new markets. So some of the investor benefits will be access to public funding for R&D, regulatory and guidance agencies that are highly regarded globally and will engage early to inform market access strategy. And of course, sitting at the heart of the UK delivery is the partnership with the NHS, a globally recognized brand, and it is the main source of healthcare delivery, free at the point of need or care for the UK population. Some of the centers, I'll talk through some of these in the subsequent presentation, but we'll cover the support infrastructures with the academic health science networks, the MedTech and in vitro diagnostic centers, and other entities. Next slide. And so what we can see on this slide is exactly as Krisztina was saying, everything is not centered around London. We can see that the Southeast is a major hub for MedTech, but up and down the country, there are significant developments of MedTech with specific expertise across the country. So if you take Yorkshire and Humber, for instance, what you can see there is orthopedics, for instance, is a major speciality of that region. And similarly, we can see this expertise up and down the country. Which we can see is that the UK is home to a dynamic leading medtech sector. There's over 4,000 companies with a very large turnover, 26.5 billion annual turnover. And it's a major employer as well. Next slide. We can see also, as I've mentioned, that there are a number of entities that have been set up. One of these is the MedTech and in vitro diagnostics cooperatives, and this is funded by the National Institute for Health Research. This has been going for some years now, and over £14 million has been awarded to these 11 MedTech cooperatives up and down the country, specializing in specific areas of need. So for instance, Sheffield has devices for dignity, while Cambridge has the brain injury medtech. So you can see specialisms up and down the country, and perhaps your technology will fit into one of these. The next slide, please. Some of the centers of excellence we have are the academic health science networks, and these centers are really looking at the needs for the local population. So if you have a medtech product that is quite advanced, you would like to sell into the NHS, you can use these as ways to pilot the project, to learn how it works in an NHS setting, and it can improve adoption and use for the needs of local people. Similarly, we have HDR UK, so that's Health Data Research Hubs. So there's 7 of these up and down the country, which really are trying to look at centers of excellence that focus on curated, disease-focused data sets, improving clinical trials and developing real-world evidence. So they're hugely beneficial for any company that's working in the sort of data or digital space that would like to come into the UK, set up a business, and have access to these data streams. Next slide. And I won't go into great detail because there's a lot of information here to unpack. But what we have is over 35 accelerators and incubators in the UK to help high growth potential companies achieve success through mentorship, office space, funding, and connections to expertise. So you can see that whether you're in England, Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland, you will find expertise that you can draw on, as well as looking at places that can develop a supply chain for your business. Next slide, please. I'll quickly go through these slides. I mean, some of the key trends affecting the medtech sector, obviously, we've all been faced with the improvements in diagnostics that were needed for COVID, but we can look at other challenges that are facing society, whether it's in the UK or the rest of Europe, for instance, an aging society. So we have people that will be living for longer, often with multiple conditions. And in order to treat those conditions, we'll need to be able to diagnose and use medical devices and other technologies to help support people living into older age or with chronic conditions. Next slide, please. And so for companies, you'd want to consider, well, why choose the UK? I've sort of laid out the sort of overview of what the UK has on offer to support companies develop and improve on their technologies and their innovations. But you've got a forward-thinking country with a strong track record of scientific breakthroughs. It adopts a partnership working approach between the industries of medtech industry sector and government. And the government is supplying billions of pounds of funding to deliver the next generation of life-changing treatments and technologies. And as I've mentioned, at the heart of this is the National Health Service. It serves the population of the UK, which is around 66 to 67 million people, and it seeks the best innovations and solutions from around the world. So if you've got an innovative product, you want to develop it further, the UK is a great place to come to. The next slide. We have quite considered a low-cost competitive model, and in Europe, it's considered one of the most attractive places to set up a regional headquarters or R&D, manufacturing, and so forth. There's a number of areas around affordable locations, low corporation tax, labor costs are very competitive, and you've actually got clusters of expertise that can help companies develop the product further, together with very good supply chains for those products. But the 3 take-homes will be tax relief. To stay competitive, the UK offers different tax relief packages, and more information can be provided from Krisztina and other colleagues. So we have things like the patent box tax relief, so companies that can apply for a lower rate of corporate tax. We have the R&D, the research and development tax relief that supports companies that work on innovative projects in science and technology. And we also have the research and development expenditure credit to get tax relief on your R&D costs. So these are all of the things that will help smaller companies especially really benefit from developing a product in the UK. Next slide, please. So if we move to the next slide. So this one is really just discussing some of the opportunities that I mentioned. So you can bring together, as I said, one of the largest medtech industries, the sectors in the world, world-class medical research driving innovation. This is pulling together clinical excellence from the hospitals, as well as academic excellence, global cooperation at competitive costs. And all of these come together for continued growth potential. Next slide. So some of the investor benefits, I've already talked about this, so I won't dwell on it too much, but you can tap into world-class science and a growing pool of talent. your business will be based in a dynamic global 3 life science hub and the #1 destination for FDI in Europe. And you can work with engaged, implemented, and research partners that are willing to draw in that innovation into their operations in the NHS. And according to Forbes, it ranks the UK as one of the best countries to do business. Next slide. And this is just briefly going to touch on some of the national agencies that we've got working together. We have very pragmatic regulators. So the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agencies are a competent authority and provide support for novel devices and technology through innovation, through its innovation office. We have a number of other initiatives, such as the NHS Accelerated Access Collaborative, which is a system to support and fast track the best medical innovations to patients. And we have a single UK portal, which is the Health Tech Connect platform to raise product profile and access the whole system support. And I've already mentioned the HSNs that can help in this role as well. And of course, yet again, the NHS supply chain, which saves company time and money with reduced points of sales and contact and improved supply chain resilience. In addition, in terms of health technology assessment, the organization NICE has a 80% positive recommendation rate on its services as well in support of industry. So the next slide. As I've mentioned at the start, there is sustained government commitment. The government has set out its vision on a wide-ranging program to upgrade technology and digitally enable care and health services. And there are new opportunities to innovative companies to improve services. So there's a number of these initiatives, which in the interest of time, I won't go into great detail, but you have that information to hand, and any further questions on those, we're happy to field. I'll briefly cut, if you go to the next slide, and the one after that. Just a couple of examples of case studies. So this one on Myriad is a company from Utah in Salt Lake City in the US. It has come into the UK. It's working with a local partner in the Leeds area to develop its technology and actually to be used in the NHS. And now this product can actually be taken and be supported by the DIT to actually be taken to new markets as well. And the benefits of this is discussed on the right-hand side of the slide. Similarly, with the next company, we see from HeartFlow that the HeartFlow creates a personalized 3D model of a heart, so clinicians can better evaluate the impact of a blockage on blood flow. Yet again, as we're saying about the pragmatic nature of it, so NICE performed a complete health technology assessment of HeartFlow, and this product was then fast-tracked to the AAC Collaborative to have a widespread adoption in the NHS. So these are just a couple of examples of how innovative companies have accessed the system and done well from that. The next slide is really trying to show, and this captures a lot of the things that Krisztina said, so I won't dwell on this, the different areas that you need for an innovative company. When you come to a new country, we can actually support you as part of what our folks at DIT do. And the next slide just touches very briefly on setting up in the UK. And yet again, it's quite detailed, but it goes through the sort of various steps that you'll need to set up in the UK. And at each of those steps, there is support available for any company looking to come into the UK. And the next slide is my contact details. So if you have any questions, post this meeting, feel free to get in touch either through me or through Krisztina, and we'll certainly try to address your questions and look forward to working with you. So thank you for your attention and happy to answer any questions in the meantime.
Thank you so much, both Krisztina and Neil, and thank you for understanding the technical difficulties. Although COVID has been going on, something like this can still happen. So it was a really insightful presentation with lots of helpful links, and we actually do have a question from Civitta. Let me read it out to you. So, does the actual overhaul the privacy rules after Brexit means attempt to move away from European data protection regulations? So it asks about privacy
GDPR.
after
So so currently in the UK, a number of the EU directives were read into UK law. And in terms of medtech and medicines regulation, for instance, there is currently a consultation on that, which is ongoing in the UK. And specifically to that question around GDPR, a lot of the requirements under the GDPR for the EU will still apply in the UK, at least currently.
Okay, great. I think that answers the question pretty well. I would have one. I know you have to leave soon. Just you mentioned the NHS quite extensively, and how do you see cooperation or collaboration between healthcare startups and corporate investors or big corporates, big pharma companies within the UK? Are they active? Do they take part in the whole innovative ecosystem?
They do. And I mean, I think and this is the pragmatism that I was talking about. So obviously to get access to patients, your product will have to meet regulatory requirements. And we have that pragmatism in the MHRA. Obviously, we also have, as I mentioned, NICE and the health technology assessments that are needed. But then getting the product, you can go through all of those regulatory processes. One of the biggest challenges for companies is in terms of innovative products, is getting the pull through and adoption of those technologies. And organizations like the Accelerating Access Collaborative that I mentioned, the HSNs, all of these can work with companies, with industry, as well as with the NHS to ensure that the needs of the NHS are met and that patients receive the appropriate treatments, therapies, medical devices that they require.
Thank you so much for your answer and your whole presentation today. I do think that you provided lots of helpful links, and we'll try, or anyone who's interested in receiving the presentation, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to type my email address into the chat. And then I can send you the presentation.
Sure. Okay.
Neil, do you have time for one more question? Is that all right with you?
Sure, go on.
Okay, can we talk a bit about forms of evidence required and pathways to adoption, especially within NHS trust and integrated care in new organizations, especially for digital health?
Okay, I mean, that is a really big question to try to unpack in a very short space of time. I have a colleague of mine, Hassan Chowdhury, who's the lead for digital health. They're working very closely to develop some of these frameworks with NHS X, NHS Digital, and there's real initiatives around the use of the data, how it can actually be accessed by companies and so forth. And then as well as how can digital technologies be adopted for patient benefit, and reimbursement and so forth are being discussed. So I think there are things like this. If people have very specific questions, because that was a very broad question, if there's specific areas that you want to focus in on, please send an email through with that question and I'll ensure that it'll get answered.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're correct. It's a bit in-depth, but as if not everyone was here at the beginning, please feel free to reach out to your speakers afterwards as well. To me, we are happy to help and we're here to help you.
Definitely.
So great to have you here. Thank you for accepting our invitation, Neil.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I just can't stay for the rest of it, but I wish you well. And my colleagues in Germany, I'd like to be in touch with you as well. Take care.
Have a great weekend. And Krisztina, thank you as well. You're welcome to stay if you want. We will have a short break and we will be back at 45. So until now, we had a really great introduction to the UK healthcare ecosystem. And after the break, we will start with the DACH region, where we will listen to 3 regional and industry experts of the German healthcare scene. So that means in 10 minutes, we will continue our webinar. Hello and welcome back, everyone. This is the Introduction to the UK and DACH Region Healthcare Ecosystem webinar from Startup Campus within the WE4 program. And before the break, we had a really interesting presentation by Dr. Ebenezer and by Krisztina Gorog, both from DIT, on the UK healthcare market. And now we will continue with the DACH region, in specific with Germany. We have three experts here with us today who will talk more in depth about the challenges, the opportunities, and the market in general. And we will start with Harald Mylord, who is the manager at Germany Trade and Invest. And I'm going to give the word to you. And thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining us here today. And we do look forward to your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to open up our presentation. Just a second.
Yes, we can see it now.
Yeah, well, and I have to change here a little bit something. Okay, so do you see the full screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. Yeah, hello everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to give you an overview about the German healthcare and digital health market. My name is Harald Mylord, and I'm manager manager digital health at Germany Trade and Invest. So who's Germany Trade and Invest? Unsurprisingly, also our portfolio is very similar to what we've just heard from the Department for International Trade in the UK. Germany Trade and Invest is the economic development agency of the Federal Republic of Germany. Our shareholder is the Federal Ministry of Economics. And we have two locations in Germany. One is in Bonn, and the former capital city, and one is in Berlin, the actual capital city. And we have over 50 locations worldwide, and we are represented on all continents with local employees to help German and foreign companies with their expansion plans. Well, as in the UK, we have two main soils of work. I mean, one is export promotion. So we help German companies in their export activities in other countries, and we consult investors from foreign countries to come to Germany. In addition, we do, of course, location marketing for Germany. And we support the new federal states. After reunification, 5 new states have been added to the existing 11, and we are supporting them in their structural transformation. Within the invest part, we're giving companies market reports and sector analysis concerning the most important German industries. In my case, it's chemicals and healthcare. We support information on legal and tax aspects of establishing a foreign business in Germany. We give information on all financial aspects establishing a foreign business, for example, financing, state support, grants, R&D funding, etc. And of course, we are also consulting, give advice on with partnering and site selection. For that, we are working closely together with the 16 regional development agencies. So each state, since we are a federal state, each federal state has an own economic development agency. We're closely working together with them because they usually do know much better where production facilities or office space, or for example, how you can recruit people, where you get your employees from. I mean, so they do know that in more detail than we do. So we are closely working together with them. Okay, I will give you a short, in a nutshell, a short overview about the healthcare market, and then I will talk a little bit about digital health. So these are the numbers. I think I don't want to go into the details, but there are two main messages here. First, it is an important growing sector within Germany, and compared with other European countries, it is the biggest market in Europe. So the total health expenditure, 411 billion euro, that is quite a bit. And where does this money come from, or who's going to pay for it? So the sources of financing covering health expenditure, as you can see here, it mainly comes from the statutory health insurance and from the private health insurance. So the health insurance system is paying for at least nearly 70%. Okay, private households. I think that's the same in the UK. Some of the medical aids you have to pay for yourself. They are not reimbursed by the health insurance companies. So the health insurance companies play an important role. That's why I would like to go in more detail. We have the public health insurance with 73 million people from 3 million in general, and private health insured nearly 9 people. So the health insurance is mandatory in Germany, and the number of health insurance companies are 100 for public and 44 for private. The public ones are decreasing because they tend to fuse, because they are in competition with each other, and so therefore the 10 for concentration is clear. Did you know that we are one of the oldest populations worldwide? So 22% of the population is at least 65 years or older. Only Japan ranks higher in this percentage. So we are a pretty old population, and that is also reflected in the growing number of recipients in Germany. The number of care recipients exceeds 4 million, and it is expected to be about 5 million in 2030. And that also, again, leads to an increasing number of nursing service providers, outpatient, and also to increased nursing home, inpatient. So this is an important development in the German healthcare market as well. So hospitals, we have nearly 2,000 hospitals. A lot of people, a lot of experts say that too much. And as you can see, the private ones are increasing, 37%, and the charity-based and the public ones are declining. That has to do with the following chart, which shows that the big hospitals, about 500 beds, they are increasing, while these in the mid-range between 50 and 200 beds and 200 beds and 500 beds are decreasing. That is because if you want to produce a good quality in healthcare, you need a critical mass of cases in disease groups. And if you're not big enough, you will not get these kind of this healthcare quality measured in mortality or whatever. And since quality of care is a main measure for also how we finance our hospitals, these hospitals in the mid-range have difficulties to survive. So this is one of them. So still the spending of the German hospitals are increasing, but because we have a dual finance system for German hospitals, so the Länder states pay for the investment in building and technical equipment, and the health insurance pay for personnel and building maintenance and medical aids products. So, and while the Länder states are always have tight budgets, it is common knowledge that there's a big investment backlog in the German hospitals, especially in the technical equipment. And that's probably why the federal government has launched the Hospital Future Act. The federal government gives the 3 billion euro, and the federal state another 1.3 billion. So that makes it 4.3 billion euro, quite a bit. And what are they going to finance with that? So this first emergency medicine, because this is not very well organized. Digitalization. So what do they mean by digitalization? So the portals for patients, electronic documentation of care and treatment, medication management. So this is digitalization. So they also want to do IT security, telemedical networks, and something which is not like listed here and which you don't find in the act, but it will also work as a compensation for losses induced by COVID-19. Applications can be handed in by the end of the year, 31st of December this year, and the federal states hand the applications from the hospital to the Hospital Future Fund. So this is a big thing. Digitalization in the hospitals will be fostered by that quite considerably. So to sum it up, the driver society derived from that care dependency and also connected with that chronic diseases. And if you have a growing health consciousness from the people, this is a trend. So the patient will be considered much more than in past years. New substances, materials, production methods. This is medtech, life science, and all these market drivers are pointing at digitalization and interconnectivity. So this is increased by that. So that leads me to the digital health market in Germany. Unsurprisingly, from what I've said before, the estimates for the market volume of digital health in Europe and in Germany are high. Between 2020 and 2025, the European digital health market will rise 50% to 232 billion euro. Germany will have 25% market share of that with 57 billion euro, to just give you an imagination. In the last 4 years, the Federal Ministry for Health has adopted an amazing number of healthcare acts, which accelerated the development of digital health considerably. The rule breaker was undeniably the Digital Healthcare Act, which came into force in January 2020. It represented a systemic opening of the market for digital health applications for 82 million health insured. So all these healthcare acts together facilitated the progress of different modules of the digital health system. The access to an electronic health record for every insured is a centerpiece for the gradual connection of all stakeholders, may it be patients, physicians, hospitals, insurances, therapists, or others within the German health system, which have formerly been insufficiently be in exchange. And I think that's a big treasure which can be gained from this electronic patients record, because now for the first time these formerly isolated and not communicating sectors are forced to exchange information that will have a big cost reduction effect, but also will make it possible for totally new healthcare processes and systems. Under certain conditions, teleconsultation, telemonitoring, and other telemedical procedures are allowed and reimbursable. Also, the access and use of patient data includes the possibility to gain insight, which could be potentially result in new precision medicine, prevention, epidemiological aspects, and pharmaceutical ingredients. The potentials for using this data is enormous, but so there are the data security hurdles, especially in Germany, which have to be considered. And last but not least, much attention has been raised by the opportunity to apply for the DIGA directory. DIGA stands for Digital Health Application, which would enable, for example, medical apps to be prescribed by doctors. So the slogan, app on recipe, made the round. So what is a DIGA, or how is a DIGA defined? It has to be a medical product class 1 or 2A under MDR. Its main function has to rely on digital technologies, and it has to be centered around the patient with possible inclusion of medical doctors and the product functionalities of the detection, monitoring, treatment, palliation. Well, you can read by yourself. So, but this is how is the process going on? So, if you apply for a DIGA, the procedure is as follows: the developer of a DIGA submits an application. The BERFARM, that's the Federal Institute for Drugs and Medical Devices, that can be compared to the FDA in America, proves for 3 months. What does it prove? It proves the requirements concerning safety, quality, functionality, privacy, data security, and more, and the positive care effect, so the medical benefit for the patients, the structural procedural improvements which your DIGA might incur. So, and then it approves, and then you go directly to the listing in the DIGA directory. The listing in the DIGA directory makes it possible that a physician, that a medical doctor is prescribing your DIGA, and the health insurances are obliged to pay for it. So if you're not going directly, then you have a second possibility to go to the preliminary listing in the DIGA directory. There you have a time for 12 months where you have to justify your positive care effects or evaluation concepts. So you have to kind of prove the requirements and positive care effects which you have failed to fulfill here, but they give you 12 months time. After the 12 months, a decision is drawn. Even you are approved and you're going to the DIGA listing directory, or you are rejected. Well, then you have to sit down, think your idea and your development again, your DIGA, and we come again if you fulfill these requirements. So, and if you are listed in the DIGA, afterwards price negotiations. So how much can you charge for your DIGA for each prescription? This is another process which would lead too far here, but this is the general process that we offer being accepted as a DIGA. Okay, we have first numbers after 1 year of DIGA. 89 applications have been submitted. From these 89 applications, 20 have been accepted. 5 had been directly approved, as I already pointed out in the former slide, and the preliminary approved, we are 15. You can already see here that it's not so easy to get through without any kind of restrictions, because the clinical studies you have to do. So the preliminary approved is clearly in the majority. 4 are rejected. 42 are withdrawn because they see, okay, we can't fulfill the criteria. And the under evaluation means that it is an ongoing process. So there are new applications handed in, and they are new. Some of them are rejected, and some will get the listing in the DIGA directory. Okay, that's the digital healthcare in a nutshell. So some slides about German healthcare cluster networks. When you have to draw a decision, where do I want to go in Germany? You will have to look at the European metropolitan regions because they have some benefits clearly, and you can see here some of these metropolitan regions. So the criteria are dynamic economic development, innovative industries and clusters, consumers, large consumers, availability of high-skilled workforce, and so on. So this is a general kind of thing which you have to consider. And then more specifically for digital, in Germany, you can see we have 30 innovation clusters connecting industry, academia, research, and clinical setting. And special focus on digital health, also digital hub status, is one health capital, that's Berlin and surrounding. They have a really big and developed startup scene in Berlin, especially in digital health, but also in other respects. You have these digital hubs and these big healthcare clusters in Nuremberg, Erlangen, called European Medical Valley, and you have a digital hub also in Mannheim, Ludwigshafen. So if you are interested in going to Germany, these centers or hubs could be of interest. Thank you much for my attention. Here you can see my my coordinates, and yeah, feel free to contact me if you are interested, or if you have in mind to set up your business in Germany. We will be happy to support you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I think you provided lots of information on how to start and overview of the general market. We have not received any questions yet, but is it okay if I ask you? So something that came to my mind is that Germany is in general, or was in general thought of as under digitalized or slow with digitalization compared to other European countries. And you talked extensively about DIGA, your program, and how Germany is changing. Do you think that COVID-19 played a role in that? It helped to accelerate the digitalization of the healthcare ecosystem in Germany?
I guess so, because I mean, if you, for example, look at telemedicine, this has been strongly improved during COVID-19. The interests of patients and people not to go to the doctor, not to go to the physician, has been not only in Germany, I presume, have been strongly increased. And people have get used to using computers, video conferences, and all this stuff of it. So this is not only like for telemedicine. So I think these digitalization and the learning curve with the technology, with computers, with video conferences, has risen also the interest in, for example, in a electronic patient record, to see what is there, what can I do, what do they offer me. So that has had a huge effect, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And you also mentioned what I'm thinking of, that lots of people miss regular appointments or regular health checkups. And you mentioned that Germany has lots of hospitals, like even you said that maybe too much. Were there any like restrictions or issues with that, of like having too few beds? Because for instance, in Hungary, there was an issue of not having enough hospital space or staff. So with regards to that, like how does the whole hospital scene in Germany look like with staffing, resources, innovation?
Well, as I pointed out, the hospitals are underfinanced in a different way, and they are too much. So if you're looking, for example, at the Netherlands and look at North Westphalia, this is only one state. North Westphalia has 150 hospitals. The complete Netherlands has only 50 hospitals. So the tendency for the hospitals to get bigger and more specialized, that will be the trend which the hospital landscape will have to undergo, and that will hurt because especially the public hospitals. So if you are a politician in a little region and you are threatened to lose your hospital, the people who will have to give you their vote, they won't like if they don't have a regional hospital anymore. But that's the way it will be, because the quality of care is not cannot be achieved with this kind of hospital structure. Therefore, all hospitals who are digitalizing inside and with the outside world will be the ones who will probably survive this competition and this kind of decrease of hospital numbers.
Thank you so much. This is something to definitely consider for all of the attendees as well, and startups wishing to enter Germany. So thank you for your presentation and for accepting the invitation. And with that, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Marc Hovestädt, who is a senior manager at Berlin & Partners, and who will be talking today about the Health Capital Program in Germany. So welcome, Mr. Hovestädt. Are you here with us?
Yes, thank you very much for the kind introduction. I try to.
I think, Harald, you need to stop sharing your screen in order to.
Yeah, I'm already looking at how to do that.
The menu function at the bottom of the screen, where you started sharing your screen, there you will be able to see stop sharing. Maybe if you
I don't see it.
within the Zoom application. Oh,
okay,
yeah.
no,
Okay.
here it is. Okay.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, thank you very much for the kind introduction. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. Yeah, I'm Marc Hovestädt. I'm the senior project manager in the biotech pharma sector and responsible for attracting companies to Berlin. Today, I'd like to introduce to you the joint venture between Berlin and Brandenburg under the brand Health Capital. And under the brand Health Capital, we work together this two federal states in Germany. The Germany capital region is one of the world's leading locations for the healthcare industry and healthcare and life science market. And we homed a lot of renowned scientists, first class hospitals, and so on. And as I mentioned, I'm from Berlin Partner. Berlin Partner is a business development agency of the federal state of Berlin. It is a public-private partnership. That means we are funded by tax money on the one hand. On the other hand, we get money from the industry due to our network is called the Berliner, the Berlins. We are a one-stop agency and guided through the offers of Berlin, including our free of-charge support services. And we are a business and technology support we also offer. And we also are responsible for the capital city marketing and, of course, for the cluster management. Yeah, here you see Germany, and in the red lines you see Brandenburg, and in the mid of the red line you see Berlin in the center of Brandenburg. That means Berlin is surrounded of Brandenburg, and we build together the cluster health capital. Yeah, what is so special in Berlin? What soft factors make Berlin so special? Berlin is a multicultural. People come from over 190 countries, and we have a high level of education as a student city, and due to its economic orientation, Berlin has a large number of highly educated people. Besides, the region is very family friendly. We have a lot of kindergartens, schools, and places for free time. It's really a cool city also from the family aspect. Berlin and Brandenburg is a location for international business. We have a very dynamic city, and a lot of big companies are located here, like Pfizer, Sanofi, Amazon, Biotronic. It is really diverse, and a wide range of well-known businesses are located here. In the last years, a lot of companies came to Berlin, as I mentioned, Pfizer 2008, or 2012, Takeda, and 2018, Sartorius. We are very successful in attracting companies to Berlin. Yeah, what are the reasons for the companies to come to Berlin? Yeah, we try to identify some factors. One is, of course, we are the city of talent. We have a lot of universities and universities of applied science here, and institutes with a very good education. We had excellence in science. We have a very strong digitalization industry here in Berlin, and the startup scene is very strong. also here in Berlin, to mention some factors or reasons to come to Berlin. Berlin, the city of intelligence, the density, variety, and excellence. So, as I mentioned, we have 4 universities here in Berlin, like the Technical University, Humboldt University, and so on. We have 7 universities of applied science, over 30 state-recognized private colleges, and 4 art academics. Around about 171,000 students are here localized here in Berlin, and we have over 30,000 employees. Yeah, this is also the location for international cutting-edge research. So we have 4 Fraunhofer institutes here in Berlin. We have Max Planck, Helmholtz, and the Leibniz institutes. It's also very diverse in the directions, the scientific directions they are going, from life science up to motor or automotive industry and so on. We have some main topics here in the healthcare cluster, health capital, for example, photonics, energy technology, ICT, media, transport, and mobility and logistics. And one of the main pillar is the healthcare industry here in Berlin. Here you see a map of Brandenburg and Berlin. On the left side, you see some hotspots of hospitals and life sciences companies in Brandenburg. We have a hotspot in Potsdam, for example, and in Potsdam-Golm. And on the right side, you see Berlin. There we have, I like to mention 2 hotspots. Hotspot in Berlin Adlershof. Adlershof is a very strong life science hotspot and medtech hotspot. There are a lot of companies located, and also in Berlin Buch. And we have a very excellent infrastructure. That means we have health insurances here, associations, patient groups, clinics like the Charité, a lot of industry and startups. The whole value chain in the life science or healthcare industries is located in Berlin. The clinical infrastructure and care, we have right about 130 hospitals here in Berlin with over 35,000 beds. The largest hospitals in Berlin-Brandenburg is the Charité, with and Vivantes Network for Health, and the other ones are the Helis Clinic, Sana, and Ernst Bergmann. We have REA and nursing clinics here, and yeah, and some specialized clinics. The healthcare industry, in fact, we have approximately 300,019 employees in the healthcare industry, roughly 30 billion euros revenue in the healthcare industry, at around about 22,000 healthcare companies, about 35 pharmaceutical companies, as I mentioned, like Sanofi, Bayer, Pfizer, and so on, with around about 11,000 employees, approximately 230 biotech companies with around about 5,000 employees, roughly 300 medtech with around about 14,000 employees, and over 100 e-health related companies. What are the hot topics in Berlin-Brandenburg? Artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, precision medicine, digital therapy, and one moment, I don't see because it is covered, and the genome therapies is also a very strong industry here. I like to highlight the digital health industry because in Berlin, the digital health industry is very strong. A lot of startups on the market. And Berlin hosts over 60 accelerators and incubators in this field, like the BioG4A or the Helios Hub, Pfizer Healthcare or Rox Health. As I mentioned, we have a strong IT industry with a unique ecosystem for collaboration, private and public sector investors, universities, and the main topics, as also Harald mentioned before me, telemedicine, digital, mobile health. This is really a hot topic here in Berlin. Now I'd like to mention where we are. We are visiting the Bio-Europe at the moment, or in 2 weeks. We are organized also the World Health Summit. We are, or we will visit the Medica, and I like to mention the Biennale. We organize it by ourselves. It is a very big event. It is every year in May, and last year over 1,500 people attended. Some words to the structure and organization of the Health Capital Cluster. The cluster spokesman is Peter Elbitz from Pfizer. The head of cluster management from the Berlin side is Dr. Kai Binsal. The head from the Brandenburg side is Florian Schlehofer. Here you see our implement or our structure. How do we find the hot topics in the health sector? First of all, we have an expert panel. We ask, they discuss the hot topics in the healthcare industry and makes a decision what are the hot topics for Berlin and Brandenburg we have to follow up. And on the other side, we have the advisory board and the cluster spokesman. And these are the outcomes of the last committee meeting. They decided to focus on innovation and technologies, networking and transfer, digital health, and so on. And more precisely or more specifically, they like to describe the healthcare sector. What are the hot topics there? The health promotion, prevention, care, social security, outpatient care, and inpatient care, for example. And these are the life science and technology sectors we follow up. The cardiovascular medical technology, for example, or drug development, this is also very strong. And one of the strongest industry in the healthcare sector is also the diagnostic industry here in Berlin. We have a lot of startups in this sector and SMEs. What we are doing for our clients, for our customers, like startups outside of Berlin or SMEs who like to relocate to Berlin. We have a location service, for example. That means we help to find the right location, office space or lab space, wet lab space. We have a funding and financing service. They offer you some opportunities to get money due to grants. We have a talent service. They help you to find the right employees for your company. A technology service. We have an EU and international service. We have a marketing packages, assistance in the networking and marketing, and we have a business location center. This is presenting Berlin online in our exclusive showroom. And now I come to the end. Thank you very much for your attention. Feel free to ask some questions, and if you like, please follow up and come back to me afterwards.
Thank you so much for your presentation and the introduction of your organization, and with specific emphasis on Berlin. So we got to know one of the key, or the capital city of Germany, and it seems to me that it's one of the most dominant in the healthcare scenes as well, with so many hotspots and so many hospitals and locations. So a follow-up question from me would be, what do you think is the most important to consider as a healthcare startup when they try to come to Germany from outside of Europe?
Yeah, the money, of course, because it is very hard to get the money here in Germany. We have not so many VCs here, and the VCs are really hard, because in Germany are also a lot of startup companies located, and it is very hard for the startups outside of Germany or outside of Berlin to get money.
So that means that German investors are not really keen on investing in foreign companies, or that they see the healthcare scene as a risky business still, even though currently it has such a huge emphasis and so much money is actually poured from governmental sides into healthcare? Or what's your opinion on that?
I think in general it is hard to get the money here. Of course, we have some funding programs here. Here in Berlin, for example, the Profit program, you can get free money around about 400,000 euros and up to 1.4 million euros for a company, but the rest is a loan. But it is really hard to get the money, because there are too much startups here. And you are right, the biotech scene needs a lot of time to enter the market, and this is the other reason, of course.
Yeah, of course, researching and validating your product is also really capital extensive.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for answering my questions and your presentation, for accepting the invitation. Great to have you join us today. And let's continue with our last speaker, our last presentation of today's webinar, which will be presented by Zoltan Galla, my colleague from Startup Campus. Zoltan is the founder of Startup Campus Germany, and he will talk about the best practices in business development in Germany. So Zoltan, the floor is yours. Please introduce our attendees to the German market and to our German office. Zoltan, are you with us? We can only see a black screen. Yes, hi. There's no voice, so we cannot hear you.
It is better now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much to having me today. My name is Zoltan Galla, the CEO of the Startup Campus Germany, and I can confirm Marc's words that the idea that we have a good product or health service in the domestic market, and we find a investor from the German market, it's very hard, so kind of impossible. So first you have to be on the market and on 4 very stable pillar, what I'm going to introduce, and then maybe a couple of years later, when you have a presence on the market, you can involve, and not investors, maybe a co-investor. So that's the situation, but I don't want to move that further. So today I will introduce you our best practices from all around Europe. So companies who we help in the German market entry. I have no presentation for today, rather I will guide you through the web pages of our clients and their partners. hopefully it will help you to give an overview of the sales technique in the German digital health market. First of all, I would like to share our web page. What it looks like this, I don't know. It is visible now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what we do is a business development program in Germany, and yes, the DIGA, what was mentioned by Harald, is part of this, and many more. So what we provide is a subsidiary as a service for tech companies, and here are the three pillars in a nutshell: marketing and branding. So you have to communicate in a German market, in a different German language, social media and marketing channels. And the second pillar, yeah, you have to know the associations, the programs like the Berlin Partners, the GTAI, and we have seen many federal and regional programs, so you have to know them and get involved. And also you have to do sales. So nobody going to do it for you except us. So it is our profession. But mainly you get help and some connects, but the pure sales to build a CRM and approaching potential partners it is something you must to do. And Germany is a country of the international trade fairs. We have at least 3 big events, digital health events in Germany. The Medica is going to be in a month, in November, mid-November. Also the DIGA DEMIA in Berlin. It's focusing only the digital health technologies. Also, we have in München the Digital Health Summit, and back to Berlin, the Berlin Health Week. So there are more, but it's very important that all of these activities have to build on these pillars. It is what we help in. So we help how you can find your first customer, and we're gonna be with you in the first 12 months. And I promised our customers or our clients, so they are the ECG 247 from Norway. They developed the cardiac monitoring tool. Our first aim for them was to find clients on the German market, because they have a ready-to-sell product. It's a small wearable ECG sensor, and after 4 months of partnership, until today, we found several interested clients. Thanks to our sales support, we approached more than 300 hospitals, private and public, also with their dedicated message. And in frame of the program, we got in touch the 3rd biggest private clinic in Germany. What is the Sana? So Sana pre-selected ECG for an interview. So as you can see here, these huge private hospitals are also have programs for startups. The second client I would like to introduce is the Gecko. It's our clients from the United Kingdom, and we support them to build up a collaboration with the Charité. Charité is the biggest university hospital based in Berlin. And here the aim of the collaboration is to get a detailed food and ankle study, as well as some wound management case study. Furthermore, we sent out samples of this belt. It is the product actually. It's helping edema. So we sent out samples, and it is also a very good technique and a best practice that if you have a very targeted partner, then not afraid to send them a product, because the replying rate is going to be much higher. Okay, the next one is the Kinapict, our clients from Hungary. We collaborate with them in 3 years now. And for them, we help to create reference sites. What they do is, or developed, is an angiography software. And this software used to running in G or Philips angiography machines, but it's a couple of €100,000. So you can imagine how hard it is to convince these hospitals to use another software. But yeah, in collaboration with the sales team of Kinapict, we convince these hospitals. It takes 3 years again, so the time is very important here. And now we have reference sites here. Okay, and yeah, they are one of the partner, the University Clinicum in Innsbruck. Our last, yeah, and the lesson what you have to learn from the Kinapict model is that at the first you have to offer your technology as a research and development in the frame of the research development program. So to try to sell from the very beginning, it's not gonna work. First, they have to learn your product or your software solution. Start to have to stay to use them, and then they can be your first customer. Okay, the second or the last clients is the Japé. They are from France. We start the collaboration in the frame of the EIT Bridgehead program, where we used to be a catalyzer partner based in Berlin. And after 1.5 year strong sales activity, together with an expert who is actually yeah, expert from the field of these exoskeletons, we set up different kind of run tours, not just Germany, in the whole Europe, and we get University of Hof and Meisterwerke Schulte GmbH, and the end it is, as you can see, they are a huge company, but for this we needed to find an expert who is really know that exoskeleton market, and who were able to yeah, on offsite do an on-site meeting with these companies, at these companies, introduce them the machine, how it works. And yeah, we organized these tours for him for long months, and we did on-site introduction meeting to more than 20 companies. So from this 20, we had these 2 customers. So in a nutshell, these are the best practices, what we have so far. And yes, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Zoltan, for introducing. I think it was especially interesting that you elaborated with case studies, so that it's not just something general, but like more specific. And maybe could you just like say one general takeaway? What do startups need to consider? Like, what has been your overall experience with healthcare companies entering Germany from Hungary, or in our case now the WE4 region?
What we've seen from the foreign startups side, that you have to be very considered, and your investors also have to be have to make a decision that yes, we want to go to the German market. It without this statement, it's going to be very hard to do this. So it's not enough to try it. You have to make a decision and stay with this decision for years, 2 or 3 years, and invest money and time for this. You also need a special, so need a sales team and the headquarters at home who we can collaborate, because we are not a distributor. We're not gonna sell the product. We just bring you to your potential clients. So the startups who don't have these 2 very important parts for the German market entry, is probably going to fail.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. There is a question from the audience. Someone asked, what are the costs of such services, or what is the pricing model?
It's very simple. It's 2,000 euro per month. For that money, every startup get a basic package, and we're running this 4 pillar I showed before. So the marketing, the business intelligence, the sales, and the event management. And of course, we have to use the main all of this technique. So join for the corporate programs, what's running by Berlin Partner or GTAI or Pfizer or so we have to see on the market. We have to be able to send out samples, able to set up reference sizes, and organize roadshows, involve key opinion leaders. But all of them is extra on this 2,000 euro. So I would say yearly it's around 35,000 euro the cost.
Okay, thank you for your question, but I'm sure Jakub, who asked the question, can reach out to you if they have specific information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zoltan, for coming in today. And with that, we are officially at the end of today's webinar. Thank you to the audience and to the speakers, and also to anyone who watches our webinar later on our YouTube channels. Make sure to like our Facebook page at Startup Campus, where we'll upload the recorded webinar. And I do hope that you learned some interesting facts that you can take away, learn some important considerations and interesting material and knowledge on both the UK and the DACH regions markets. And feel free to reach out to any of the speakers. I have added my email address in the comment section. If you're interested in the presentation slides, I can send them to you. So without further ado, thank you again. And I wish everyone a relaxing weekend at this Friday afternoon. And make sure to join us next week on our next webinar. You can find out more on our website at startupcampus V4 ERP. So with that, thank you and good luck to all of the startups, and thank you to the speakers. Bye.